Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. And we are thankful to the church for letting us gather here, and we're thankful to God for the opportunity and the rain we got last night, because we certainly need it here, and we need it elsewhere in Louisiana as well. As Eric said, we're gathered to celebrate this morning, and I'm excited about this. It hardly seems like 3 years ago that we were gathered on this very spot to talk about these projects. That groundbreaking ceremony was kind of surreal. October of 2020, we were several months into COVID, not knowing whether the worst was behind us or yet to come. It was actually yet to come. We had just had two major hurricanes in southwest Louisiana, and it was a challenging time to say the least. But when you work in partnership with local government and the federal government, and when you bring people together, things are possible. So I want to start by thanking Eric and all the people at DOTD, and he just mentioned a number of them, but there are so many more who work advancing infrastructure across the state of Louisiana. I thank them. I thank the local officials here in St. Tammany Parish. Mr. President, thank you for your partnership. Senator Matt, thank you. He's not just the senator for this area. He happens to be the chairman of the Senate Transportation Committee. So he has a special perch from which he can not only just see what's happening, but actually help in directing resources and trying to figure out what the priorities are. And then, of course, you do this with the private sector, because the fact of the matter is we don't really build roads anymore as a state. But to have J.B. James Construction and James Construction, both, to do these phases, I think has been very significant, and want to thank them as well. Y'all know the I-12 corridor needed to be expanded, needed to be widened. It's one of the most congested parts of this interstate system, the 1012 system that runs from Los Angeles, California to Jacksonville, Florida. And it's one of the most congested, and that congestion leads to a lot of delays, but it also negatively affects the economy, and it adversely affects quality of life, because we all have something better to do than to sit in traffic. So for all of those reasons and more, we knew we needed to invest in this corridor. To give you an idea of the traffic count, in the last 15 years, the daily average traffic went from about 60,000 vehicles to 90,000. And over the next 15 years, the modeling suggests that we're going to have at least that much growth yet again. And so you have to have an infrastructure system that can accommodate those vehicles, and that's what this work was all about. And it did take partnership and working together and trying to figure out where we would get the funding from. We're investing more money than ever in our infrastructure system, but this work was actually started before the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act was done. And so we got a head start here, and we've cobbled together funding from different sources, federal and local, in order to make this happen. And I just want to thank everybody for that work. And then not only have we completed the first two phases, but we've actually started the work, issued the contract. We have the money in hand for the third phase. And so all three phases are going to be done by 2025, and I know that that'll be a great day when that third phase is done. So we needed to secure money for this work. The biggest pots of money came from redistribution dollars. I'll talk about that in just a second, and then a bill grant for $25 million that St. Tammany Parish worked with the federal government to get. And so thank you all for that. And I do want to pause for just a moment and recognize someone who's not here with us, and that's Congressman Steve Scalise. He was here 3 years ago as we kicked this thing off, but he worked really hard to help us make sure that we got the bill grant for $25 million that helped get this done. So the redistributed dollars $43 million were committed to this project. And I say redistributed dollars, a lot of times people don't know what that is. So each year, the United States Department of Transportation sends out transportation trust fund dollars to states so that they can do work in their states. Sometimes the states send money back because they don't have the shovel-ready projects, or maybe on occasion they don't have the match necessary to keep those dollars. And then other states, if they're properly positioned, can intercept the dollars going back to the federal government and spend them in their states. We have been extremely aggressive in Louisiana about going after those redistribution dollars. I can tell you that over half, way over half of all the redistributed dollars that our state has ever gotten from the federal government have come in my administration. And what you have to do is you have to have the shovel-ready projects. You have to expend it all, or at least obligated all the money that you have gotten in your allocation, and then you have to have the match ready to go. And when you put those three things together, you're in a position to grab those dollars. And we've done that. I think, Eric, you told me most recently $211 million in the most recent year, $100 and something million before that. And so we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars invested in Louisiana that was initially supposed to go to some other state. But if you have if you make sure that you have the resources and you're committed to this purpose, you're able to secure those funds. And that was the lion's share of the Phase 1 funding. That was $43 million of the $54 million. The Bill grant, the biggest part of the second phase. And so I'm excited about this work. It shows us what we can do when we work together, when we really all have the same priorities and we're willing to contribute to making those priorities a reality. And the three-phase project altogether, including the phase that has started but is obviously not yet complete, just over 10 miles at $169.8 million invested right here in St. Tammany Parish to meet the current needs but also the future needs of this community. But it's a lot more than just this community that drives on I-12 every day, as y'all know. And so I think it's a perfect example that we strengthen what exists and create, when needed, additional capacity to meet the needs of not just today but also the future. I did want to mention that in St. Tammany Parish alone, since 2016, when I became governor, there have been 76 improvement projects, 339 miles involved, and the investment $430 million in St. Tammany Parish. And we're not just overlaying roads, we're connecting communities. We are improving safety, we're improving the economy, and all of that is important, but we're also improving the quality of life. So with that, I think I'm going to stop after I just say again how much I appreciate the partnership, the local officials here, the legislature, for working with us. And you know, you always hear football coaches and other coaches after a big win, they say, you know, we're gonna celebrate this today and we're gonna get right back to work tomorrow because there's another game we got to win. That's really how we have to look at infrastructure too, because we're never going to be done. You're never going to, you know, spike the ball in the end zone, to use another sports analogy, and say mission accomplished. There's always more work to be done. That's the nature of this. But we have more resources available, and we have more resources being invested in transportation infrastructure, roads, bridges, highways, airports, ports, you name it, broadband, than ever in the history of our state. And we are really working hard to be good partners for local government, which is why of the $1 billion extra on the bridge program from the bipartisan infrastructure law, we have carved out $300 million for local off-system bridges. And we're going to let local government tell us which bridges they need most repaired or replaced, and that's what's going to happen. And over the 5 years, we will do way more bridges than we would have done otherwise without that funding. But we're trying to be really good partners. So I say that just so you all know that's been the thrust of our administrations, both under Sean Wilson, who was really aggressive in going after the dollars that we could, or whether it was reallocation or whatever, and now under Eric Calavoda. So I thank both of them. So with that, I want to thank you all for showing up. Again, we've got a lot of work to do. I know that I think I'm 4 months from today leaving office. I will work hard every single day between now and then. You won't have to worry about where I'm at or what I'm doing, because my goal and the goal of all of us, and I know it's your goal and Senator McMath, yours as well, is to leave things better than you found them. I have no doubt that we're going to do that when I leave office on January the 8th, because of the work of people at the state level and the local level. Thank you all so much, and God bless you.